Hello, my name's Michael Conneely and I'm bringing you the Star Wheel Astrology and Healing newsletter for September 2019. And this is the video for the astrology of September. And I'm going to start with like a special key little summary. So the big thing most certainly is that the Saturn conjunct K2 South Node, the Saturn K2 conjunction is still retrograding in Vedic sign of Sagittarius, although Saturn does gradually in his grindstone way turn direct in mid-September on the 19th. And it's so important to understand the imperative of the Saturn K2 Pluto conjunction in your life, especially Saturn K2. And I'll be covering that in more detail later on in this video. And do go to the Star Wheel blog, which gives so much more detail about the astrology of September 2019 and also all the charts and ephemeris in both Western and Vedic astrology. But the whole point is Saturn is about our blocks. K2 is about spiritual perception and revolution. And the two don't really get on very well, and K2 gets very angry in his energy if you stick to your blocks. And I have to confess, I did. What you have to do is look at the house in your Vedic birth chart for the area of life where the Saturn K2 Pluto conjunction will particularly spread its horrific tension and lay its demands. And mine was the 6th house of health and healing, and I overworked a great deal last year and it caught up with me, ignored warning signs, trying to keep going. And but now I've found sort of wonderful healing and doing the right things, so more about that later. So the Saturn K2 conjunction is obviously the big one this year. Can you perceive its divine meaning? Can you respond or not? So the next thing to say is that there has been a Leo emphasis, a Vedic Leo emphasis in the heavens recently. But during September, the knot of planets that were in Vedic Leo move into Vedic Virgo. And there's a huge difference between the Lion King and the attention to detail and right living of Virgo. So look out for that big shift of energy. The Lion King is no more. The detailed, focused, right living person, if not the bureaucrat, takes over. More about that in the blog. And in fact, Venus is actually debilitated in Vedic Virgo, so please hear this. We need to heal, the blocks and suppressants to love and beauty and art that debilitated Venus brings. People say, oh, well, Mercury is in Vedic Virgo and that'll count, that'll sort of minimize the debilitation of Virgo. But I don't think it will, because Mercury is in most complicated energies and conjunctions and really in quite a mess. So more about that later. And the big thing I want to get over is do not forget Chiron, Pluto, Uranus and Neptune, more about those. But they are the agents of our transformation. You need to know when you have a transit from Chiron, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. What is it affecting? They are so powerful. So the message to conclude this initial summary is my video and the detailed blog will give you good perception about the energies entering and running through your life. But what do you do about that? So much astrology is sort of proud little formula. Basically, we have to go beyond that to heal, to be inspired, to empower, to raise our consciousness, to connect to inspiration, to heal. And okay, how might one do that? Well, it varies from person to person, but I found like a couple of wonderful healers because of the health issues I ran into. I'll tell you about that later. And here in Ireland, you know, there's the festivals of the year, sacred dance and art and music. These are the sort of things that reignite the fullness of you. It's no good just listening to intellectual perception. Vedic astrology is wonderful in the perception it gives. But, you know, the remedies of Vedic astrology, quite frankly, you know, simply can't deliver what, you know, more healing and consciousness raising approaches do. I also, of course, use and teach psychodynamic Western astrology and evolutionary astrology in my readings. It's in my courses. But the same applies there. I wouldn't be without the perceptions of psychodynamic astrology. You know, the wonderful age points, for example, and what they say. But, you know, contact me for a reading or one of my courses if you want to find out. But it's so rooted in psychology and psychologists, you know, are academics. You know, I have a postgraduate psychology degree from the early 70s. I fully believed in it then. Now I see that the best it is paving stones to pave the path to the other beauties and raising of consciousness that I mentioned. So, just to say, I can't possibly cover the detail of the 5-page blog in this introductory video, and all the charts and the ephemerises are in the blog, so see that. But I want to mention Chiron, and just to say, you know, be aware about what the transiting Chiron is offering you. So basically, Chiron's currently transiting quincunx my natal Mars, and my natal Mars is conjunct Chiron. And so I'd like to say, well, I feel I've, you know, come to a definite realization of the value of solid strength from really never having a positive Mars example ever in my life. And I want to tell you very briefly that just this weekend gone, we did a retreat, a weekend retreat here in the west of Ireland in County Sligo, about great goddess Danu, the ancient Irish mother goddess. And so the focus was on meeting the best in mothering, and then healing our own wounds that we probably have from our mothering, and then going on to heal wounds in the mothering or fathering that we've quite probably given our own children. And the methods were quite incredible. You know, there was a vision journey, as I said, but there was a clearing of blocks to receiving. There was healing artwork. There was family constellation work, sound healing, which is very empowering. Loads and loads and loads of dance. And so I want to tell you that there's a similar method retreat being offered in May, and in the blog there's a contact you can email to express an interest. And that is at the Feast of Beltane, the ancient festival of Beltane. It's all about healing our blocks to love. It's going to be the most wonderful retreat. Find out about it. So that's a brief take on Chiron. So moving on to, well, yes, the big one is the Saturn-Ketu conjunction. I've spoken quite a bit about that already. It creates great tension in the area of life which it's transiting in Vedic Sagittarius. Check which house it is in your Vedic chart. And yes, I ran into health difficulties through ignoring warning signs and sticking to my blocks and patterns. But there's a wonderful community of healers here in the west of Ireland. I found the most wonderful biodynamic osteopath and a nutritionist, as well as going on the retreat I mentioned. Okay, realise that Kalsarpa Yoga is in the heavens. That's when all the planets are to one side of the nodal axis. It's preposterous, it's divisive in its energy. Read what I wrote in the blog, that some people get far too pedantic about the definition just because one planet might be the other side of the divide, that is the nodal axis. And of course, like all tough challenges, it can be the gateway to spiritual growth and greater inspiration and understanding. And I have friends who have Kalsarpa Yoga who've achieved that and healed it in that way. The next thing I want to mention is the Uranus transit. Do find out where Uranus, the revolution bringer, is transiting in relation to your planets, what house it's going through. It's conjunct Rahu, in my case, my north node, and my Rahu is in the 10th house of career. And it's bringing quite a big change and I think more creativity to the way I do my career. More magic, more inspiration, more and wider healing methods, more esoteric astrological dimensions being added. And just to say that in my case, my Rahu is in Ashwini, the first nakshatra, in the wonderful 27 sign lunar Vedic astrology. For goodness sake, learn about the nakshatras. They so powerfully and accurately declare our personality, and with that declaration we can minimize the bad bits and maximize the more divine bits. And my Rahu is in the 4th pada. Every nakshatra is divided into padas, and in my case Rahu is in the 4th pada, which is Cancer. So it would be a caring approach to a healing career, and that. And yes, and if you want to find out from me your ideal career or any other of your life details or your relationship details, get in touch for a reading or enroll on one of my courses. Wow, Pluto is actually at 26 Vedic Sagittarius, shortly to enter Vedic Capricorn, and Pluto is actually transiting square my natal moon and sun. They're opposite each other because I was born on a full moon eclipse. And I do feel the empowerment that Pluto can give. Do read the blog about something I offer, which is a descent into the abyss, to meet the keeper of the abyss, to do work with him, to hand over and heal your wounds, guilt, secrets, harms that have been done to you, so that you can be lightened, so that you can rise up to meet Pluto not as keeper of the abyss, which has to be done. It's like the descent of Ishtar or Inanna into the underworld in Mesopotamian religion. But lightened, you can arise and meet Pluto as Ketha, the crown chakra. Lightened, you can receive the divine energy and inspiration once you've done the mandatory Pluto step. And indeed, because Saturn turns direct on the 19th of September, we're moving towards a situation of Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And this is big. I mean, negatively, it's a person who is very repressive. But positively, Saturn is like a container, and Pluto is like atomic inspiration and power. And so the Saturn-Pluto conjunction positively is like the chalice, the grail that holds the energy of sublime transformation. That's shortly, next year, going to be in Vedic Capricorn. Check out where in your life you have the opportunity to hold the grail of great, huge transformation. Okay. So Neptune retrograding this month. You know, I have so much that I owe to a recent Neptune transit, so much increased intuition and inspiration. Jupiter has turned direct. He's at the end of Vedic Scorpio, transiting towards Vedic Sagittarius, and shortly to enter the Gandanta zone at the end of Vedic Scorpio and the beginning of Vedic Sagittarius. Gandanta zone's extremely important to understand. End of water signs in Vedic astrology, beginning of fire signs. They're where the world becomes more and more immaterial, especially about the 0 point, the transition point between the two signs. So any planet in the last degree of the water or the first degree of the fire sign might be massive problems on the earth realm, but potentially open to the divine realm. So Jupiter's energy will increasingly take on a Gandanta energy. Read about this in the attached blog. So, and the blog continues with the nitty-gritty detail of Mars, Venus, Sun and Mercury all in Vedic Virgo. You will feel the energy shift, as I said, from the leonine sun energy that there was to the nitty-gritty but caring for health and detail Virgo energy. So read about that. The last thing I want to say is that Rahu, the north node of the moon, leaves Punarvasu Nakshatra it's on the 11th of September, and enters Ardra Nakshatra. Now, both these nakshatras are in Vedic Gemini. Rahu has been transiting Vedic Gemini, but when he enters Ardra Nakshatra, well, be careful, because Ardra is ruled by Rahu, and it could bring out very tunneled vision, driven, almost confrontative, even nasty attitude, particularly for people who have planets in Ardra Nakshatra, in early Vedic Gemini. But of course, the Rahu in Gemini communication impetus continues, and check out the house in your Vedic birth chart. So in my case, it's Rahu through the 12th, massive increase in intuition, magic, and contact with foreign parts, and so forth. Also, at the end of the blog, I've got to end now, the new moon on the 30th of August in Leo in Magha Nakshatra, the full moon conjunct Neptune in Vedic Aquarius in Purvabhadra Nakshatra, and then the new moon, the full moon's on the 14th of September, and then on the new moon on the 28th of September in Virgo, in Vedic Virgo, in Hasta Nakshatra. So read all about the lunations, and the charts for those lunations in both Western astrology and Vedic astrology are there. So I hope this little introduction video spurs you to go on to see the blog. Do contact me for an astrology reading. If you feel I can help widely in your life, do enroll on one of my courses. And there's another video my wife Maggie Pashley is putting out on her healing work, a focus of healing work in September, so see that too. Thank you.